Ed and Lorraine Warren's Annabelle lecture. In The Conjuring, Last Rites, the movie opens with Ed and Lorraine Warren giving one of their spooky lectures, and of course they can't resist bringing up Annabelle. But she's basically the queen bee of haunted dolls, so it makes sense. The interesting part is, if you remember the first Conjuring, their lecture hall was packed.
Canadian farmer had some of the best Latin I'd ever heard. The dark spirit made its home in this man.
What happened to Maurice?
Well, he tried to kill his wife.
Standing room only. But this time, the room looks emptier than a Monday morning gym. It's a subtle way of showing that people just aren't buying into their ghost stories like they used to. Now, Annabelle isn't just a random mention. She's got her own spin-off trilogy, where she's the full-blown antagonist, running the horror show. But in the Warrens' actual lore that we learned about in The Conjuring 2, they adopted her from two nurses who thought the doll was sweet until it started pulling creepy little tricks. The Warrens stepped in, took her off their hands, and gave her a permanent home in their famous artifacts room, sealed inside a glass box like an evil museum piece. Since then, Annabelle has popped up in multiple Conjuring films, and let's face it, she's still the star of the franchise. Students reference Ghostbusters. During Warren's Annabelle lecture, there's this moment when some smart aleck student pipes up asking if they're basically like Ghostbusters. The whole room chuckles, and you can almost see Ed's blood pressure spike. He's there trying to warn them about demons and cursed dolls, and they're picturing Bill Murray running around with a proton pack. The joke works on a couple of levels. For one, it shows just how much the Warrens' reputation has slipped. Back in their early days, people treated them like genuine investigators of the paranormal. Now, they're getting compared to a bunch of comedy ghost wranglers from the 80s. Ghostbusters, of course, is iconic pop culture where goofy scientists zap slimy specters while cracking one-liners.
They catch the ghost that won't stay dead. They're professionals. Between you and the end of the world.
The Warrens, on the other hand, deal with possessions, hauntings, and evil that can actually kill you. Putting those two side by side highlights just how far the Warrens' public image has fallen. A poster of John Wayne. There's this scene in the movie where Janet Smurl sneaks into the basement and thinks she spots some creepy guy lurking in the corner. The suspense builds, then the light flicks on, and surprise, it's just a poster of John Wayne. Yep, the cowboy legend himself, accidentally moonlighting in a horror movie. It's a quick gag, but it lands because John Wayne is the ultimate Western icon, and suddenly, he's mistaken for a ghost in a haunted house. For a second, the film mashes two worlds together. Tumbleweeds and shootouts meet jump scares and demons. Seeing the Duke accidentally spook someone in a basement is probably the closest we'll ever get to a Western horror crossover, and honestly, it's kind of hilarious. Brad Hamilton returns. In one of the Ed's birthday scenes, we get a fun throwback when Brad Hamilton, the cop from the very first movie, shows back up. You might remember him from the Perron haunting in Rhode Island, where he tried to help the Warrens deal with Bathsheba's nightmare. Things didn't go so well for Brad back then, as he got chomped on the cheek during all the chaos, which left him with a scar that he still carries around like a horror souvenir. Cut to Last Rites, and instead of chasing ghosts, Brad is just hanging out at Ed Warren's birthday party. It's a way more relaxed setting, though he doesn't let anyone forget what he went through. He literally points to his scar like, "See this?" Yeah, Bathsheba did that. It's a funny moment because it's casual, but it's also a sly reminder that the Warrens' adventures leave marks, sometimes permanent ones. The real Judy and Tony appear in cameos. On Ed's birthday, there's also another fun Easter egg that's easy to miss. The real Judy Warren and her husband, Tony Spira, actually show up in the movie. They pop into Ed's birthday party scene, where you can spot them chatting with Lorraine like regular guests. It's one of those quick blink and you'll miss it cameos, but once you notice, it's a cool moment. What makes it even nicer is the timing. This film puts more focus on Judy and Tony's relationship, showing Judy growing up and Tony becoming part of the family. So having the real couple appear, even for just a few seconds, feels like a sweet nod to their real lives. It doesn't pull attention away from the story, but for fans who know who they are, it's a touching tribute. Ed's pills refer to his heart attack. The devil made me do it. Ed suffers a heart attack during the opening exorcism after being touched by the demon. From then on, his health becomes a major concern for Lorraine, and he's prescribed medication to manage his condition. The issue, though, is that in that movie, he often forgets to take his pills, which makes every investigation more dangerous. In The Conjuring, Last Rites, the story brings that detail back instead of ignoring it. Early on, after playing ping pong with Tony, Ed is left out of breath, showing that his health is still fragile. Later, during the film's climax, his condition is highlighted again when his pills spill across the Smurl's staircase. This time, however, the difference is clear. Ed actually remembered to bring them with him. It's a small but important touch that connects directly to the events of the previous film, and shows the toll these cases have taken on him over the years. James Wan's cameo. There's also a quick cameo from James Wan, the creator of the whole Conjuring universe. He shows up during the wedding scene as one of the guests, and if you're not paying attention, you'll probably miss it. It's one of those small blink and you'll miss moments, but once you spot him, it's a fun little surprise. This isn't new for directors. Hitchcock made it a tradition, and Wan has done it before in other projects. Here, it feels extra fitting because Last Rites is meant to wrap up the Warrens' main story. Seeing Wan step into the world he built works like a quiet nod to the fans and a way of saying goodbye. Conjuring family's cameo in Judy's wedding. At the end of The Conjuring, Last Rites, Judy's wedding to Tony has a really meaningful detail for longtime fans. If you look closely at the guests, you'll notice some very familiar faces from the earlier movies. From the first Conjuring, Carolyn Perrin and her daughter, Cindy, are there. From Conjuring 2, Peggy Hodgson and her daughter Janet make an appearance, and even David Glatzel from The Devil Made Me Do It shows up. They don't have any dialogue or special scenes. They're just there as guests enjoying the wedding, but it feels like a sweet reunion. It's the filmmaker's way of showing that all these families, who went through terrifying things with the Warrens' help, are now gathered together for a happy moment. The Conjuring Universe shows you the fiction, but the real tragedies that actually happened with these families, they're far more disturbing. If you dare, watch the real horror behind these films. Click to watch every real-life event in the Conjuring Universe, explained in 13 minutes. See you there.
My name is Lorraine Warren. My husband Ed and myself were called by Janet Schmall to this home that we are now in, just prior to the Christmas holiday, at the early part of December